You are listening to True to You Radio, your home for peace, praise, prosperity, and positivity. Visit us at truetoyouradio.com.
This is Tracee Sioux, and you are listening to Year of Yes Radio. It's the year you say yes to everything your soul tells you to do. Please visit my website at traceesioux.com. That's TraceeSioux.com for a free sample chapter of my new book, The Year of Yes. The dare is to say yes. Today, I am so excited to be talking to a young woman named Courtney Munson. She is 19 years old and she channels God. She has recently written a book called Teachings from God. You can find that at www.teachingsfromgod.com or on Amazon. Courtney, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, Courtney, I am fascinated by the fact that you are, well, one, channeling God, and two, 19 years old, and that you started this journey when you were about 12. Can you tell me how this began for you and when did you start channeling God?
Yes. First of all, I want to just talk about the word God before we even go into it, because I think that has many different meanings to a lot of different people. And for me, the word God is the source of all that is. It's the flowing source that connects all of us. And it's beyond humanity. And it's not a guy up in the sky. That's been my understanding and my perception and experience. So the reason why I use that word in the book title is because it's a word that everyone can understand the concept of. And so I wanted to make it clear that, you don't have to believe in any one way of thinking. You don't have to be part of any one religion to understand this and to connect with it. Because what I've learned is humanity is here to learn more about our true self. And when you let go of those conditionings of what you think God is or what you think we're here to do, it really helps you to open up to all that is and something more expansive that is beyond our perception. So I just wanted to open up with that. But
fantastic. Thanks for clarifying, because God can be a trigger word, but I'm with you on that definition. That's the definition that I use as well. So, all right, tell us how this began for you.
Yeah. So I started becoming very aware of my desire to be a healer when I was 12 years old. Even before that, I think I was about 9 years old when I was introduced to a Qigong master here in Minnesota that has inspired me since I was 9 and continues to inspire me. So I was beginning to meditate at that time. I was beginning to feel my own energy and be able to detect other people's energy in a lot more profound way, and learned that opening up my own energy channels helps me to be a clear channel of the divine. So learning that at a very young age helped me to open myself up even more.
So it was through Qigong that you learned to open your energy channels?
Yes.
And then when you did that, you found that you were accessing God.
I found that, and I'll get to that, but my when this communication actually fully opened was when I was 16. But I was very interested in spirituality, and I would tag along with my mom all the time and go to workshops and go to spiritual things, and it just really intrigued me, and I loved just being around people that I could be open with, and I could really talk about what I wanted to talk about and open up to things that really intrigued me, which were mostly spiritual concepts, and I couldn't really talk about that with my friends. They would just laugh or, go, well, that's so stupid, why are you talking about that? And so you can probably understand that, how that was, difficult, and whatever age you are, when you're not with your tribe of people, it can be difficult to express yourself. So specifically, the Qigong community really just helped me to grow and expand, and to this day, I'm still studying it. I've gone through level 4 of Spring Force Qigong Healing. And so then, after that whole thing kind of sparked my interest, I became more open to Abraham Hicks material and Conversations with God. I watched that movie when I was 9 or 10 as well, and I remember watching it. Just incredible story, a lot of turbulence, but also just amazing how the entire story played out. And Neil is just an incredible person. And I remember watching that and thinking, wow, like, I wish I could do that.
So just for a second, I just want our listeners to know who Neil Donald Walsch is. He wrote a series of books called Conversations with God that are excellent books. And he wrote questions, and God answered those questions through his pen. And they're fascinating books that have opened my eyes to all kinds of possibilities and all kinds of new perspectives that I had not experienced. And Abraham Hicks is a woman named Esther Hicks taps into a consciousness named Abraham. And I think it's a collective consciousness made up of entities that are in the energy spirit realm. And again, people ask questions of these entities while she channels, and they give their perspective of law of attraction and what we're here for and how to get what we want. So I just want to give that background in case people don't know what we're talking about in terms of you admiring their work and wanting to do that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for explaining that. So that's a good background, and that leads into, as you talked about, the law of attraction. I was very interested in The Secret. I watched The Secret, and so these things were already percolating within me, and I was just amazed by what was outside of my perception and what I wasn't learning in school that I wanted to learn more about. And so I wasn't fitting in at school. I didn't feel like my own passions and my own drives were being met through school, traditional school, and I was just way too stressed out. And so I ended up transitioning when I was 14 to an online school, and I did online school throughout all of my high school years. So this is sort of a long story leading up to the point in which I'm getting to when I one day, it was March 12, 2012, I remember it very vividly, and I was sitting down doing a meditation, taking a break from schoolwork, and I felt this very different sensation that I hadn't felt in any other meditation that I had done before. And it was like a golden liquid light that came down through the top of my head, sort of like a funnel. And as it came down, I felt extreme peace and unconditional love and a gentleness. It was like an angel kind of experience. That's what I felt like it was. That's the only word I can describe it as. It felt like an angel that had come into my body. My body became light, and I felt like I was floating in the clouds. Couldn't feel the weight of my body or the couch underneath me anymore. And so this liquid light came trickling down my body and into my arms. And when it came into my fingertips, they started to twitch like they wanted to write. And I was remembering in the back of my head as I was having this experience, I was remembering Esther Hicks, her first contact with Abraham. And it was almost exactly like that, where she felt a pulsation in her hands. And so she went down to the typewriter. And so I was remembering that. So I went over to my computer my laptop, and I put my fingers down and I opened up a blank Word document, and this presence started to type amazing messages. And I knew it was not me because I could never write that. I knew nothing about these concepts. And it was all about these universal laws and how to love yourself more and how to discover our true authentic nature and where we came from and the purpose of being human. It was like big things. And I thought, wow, like this is crazy. First of all, I didn't know what to do with the information at first. I was up almost all night for an entire week straight, just typing away in my bed, and I had 50 pages in a week of single-spaced information, and I was experiencing many beautiful places and experiencing more of myself that was beyond my human structure, beyond this body. And it was just like I had entered a whole new dimension and a whole new awareness of myself. And I realized pretty quickly that this wasn't just about my experience. It was about humanity. It's a story about humanity, and it's a story about how we can awaken to our authentic self and live in a place of more love and more peace and have more compassion for ourselves, for wherever we're at. And it taught me a lot about, how sometimes being human is really hard, and it feels like we're separated from our creative source, and it feels like sometimes we're going down a path that's wrong, and we have motivations that are not necessarily linked up with our true passions. And I learned a lot. I just perspective on that, and realized that no matter how lost we feel, there's always a underlying source that's guiding us. There's always something that is showing us there's divine planning to all of it, and there's never a wrong path.
Wow. I mean, just talking to you puts me in kind of a meditative, trancey state. You have such a sense of peace and serenity about you, just as a light in the universe. It's pretty magical. I hope my listeners can feel that while you're speaking. Can you tell us what our authentic self is? I mean, who are you say reach our authentic self or discover more about that? Well, what is that?
Well, it has to do with our limited perception of who we think we are. And when we come to Earth, there's a piece of us, the infinite piece of us, that remains intact with us. So what I mean by that is we're infinite beings, but when we come into this body, this three-dimensional reality, that infinite perception cannot be there anymore. And we signed up, each and every one of us signed up and had this contract with ourselves to put ourselves in these small little boxes, to understand more about ourselves and to have soul growth. And I think that's a big piece that people don't understand, or they don't know why they would sign up for that. If they're amazing light beings, why would you sign up to be a human?
Why would you?
Yeah, why would you? And from that perspective, it's an amazing warrior type of act to do such a thing, to be a human being. And we signed up for it knowing that we could do it. We signed up knowing that we would have the tools to do it. And even though there might be struggle and pain, and even though we might have to break through a lot of things that are difficult, it would all be beneficial to our overall soul growth. And the next time around, when we chose to come back, it would be easier, and we would have even more tools in our toolbox. So, with that understanding, that foundational understanding for me, whenever I come up against a challenge, I remember I have the tools to deal with it. And nothing would be presented to me if I couldn't do it. And so
what is the goal then?
Yeah, the goal, is different for every person, because every person has a different lineage. Every person has a different, I guess I said it, soul lineage, meaning that they signed up and, maybe somebody needs to heal themselves in some way. They have to learn how to love themselves fully and completely in that lifetime. And maybe that's their mission. And so they might be put in a situation where maybe their parents neglect them, or they're in some sort of abuse situation where they really have to go up against that challenge in order to release it.
Okay.
So, everybody has a different goal, and whether you are aware of what that goal is or not, it always remains inside of you. Right. There's always this drive that pushes you to do the things that you do in your life. But I would say, the purpose of the life experience is to learn how to control our emotions better, to learn how to use them to our benefit, and realize that there's no good or bad, that there's just different. And when we realize that, then we can better understand the synchronicity of all of it.
So and are you doing channeling, or how are you interacting with other people in this work as a healer?
Yeah, as a Qigong healer in training right now, I would say that through this process, this communication that has awakened within me, that I've become a lot more powerful in the sense that I can be a conduit easier of the divine, and I'm open so that I can allow more healing energy to come through me. And
can you tell me what would Qigong healing look like? I mean, explain what that would be. Like if someone were to seek healing from a Qigong healer, what would a session look like? I'm not sure what that would be.
Yeah. Well, going back to the root of the word, Qi means energy, and Gong means work. So it essentially means energy work. So what you're doing, and there's thousands and thousands of kinds of Qigong, but the one that I learned, it's really all about helping to open up energy blockages in your body and in other people's bodies. So starting out with my learning, my training, it was about healing yourself, learning to heal yourself first, because when you're more open, then you can transmit energy better, and you can also help heal another person better. So you learn through awakening your own channels to detect energy blockages. And so say somebody's standing in front of me, I will run my hand from the top of their head down to their toes. And if I hit an energy blockage, my hand will shake a little bit, and I will feel heat coming from the palm of my hand. But because I have had this communication, as I said, with source energy, and I'm very open to that, sometimes I will get messages that way too. And I will feel like, this person needs help on their heart energy, or this person, has grief in their knees, and I need to work on that a little bit.
So what are the results that someone might expect from a Qigong healing session? Do they get spiritual guidance, or do they tell me what the results might be?
Well, I think a lot of people feel more peace and feel more open and centered and grounded. Since I haven't done private sessions for people, I'm still training. I've mostly what I've experienced working on peers and mentors in a training kind of situation is that there's a lot more confidence. It helps to show that person that they're very capable of healing their own body and you don't need someone else to do the work for you. You can be of guidance and support to them. But ultimately what I've learned and what Junyi Lin has taught me is that you're your own greatest healer. And
right.
So that's a very empowering thing. And if somebody comes in with an issue and, says, can you please help me work on my knees or whatever it is, then you will focus on that. But I think the greatest thing for me that I've learned is intention is so powerful. And you don't have to focus so much on specifically where the energy is going to go and try to manipulate it in a certain way. And I'm not a master healer, but I think I've been very successful. I had an experience last year where my grandma was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And she was staying with us, and my whole family we were working on her, practicing Qigong 2 or 3 hours a day. And with that support, she had a lot less pain, a lot less suffering, and happiness and quality of life. So whether you're coming in with a symptom or whether you're coming in because you want to heal your depression or just have more balanced emotions, enjoy life more, and deepen into your heart and build a stronger connection with the divine, Qigong works with all of that. But
so yeah. I'm wondering, where do you see your career going? You are 19 years old. You obviously are a very gifted healer with a very peaceful, serene energy that's practically putting me to sleep right now. In a good way. In a way that's like, oh, wow, I feel so peaceful and just serene, just speaking to you and experiencing your energy. You've mentioned Esther Hicks, and what she does is tour the country and do public readings for people and workshops. Neil Donald Walsch does the same thing and writes a lot of books. So what do you see in your future?
That sounds very good to me. Traveling and meeting people around the world, because I think my greatest inspiration and motivation is to connect with people personally. And I've never seen this about myself. I see it as something that I want to spread around the world because it helps people, and it helps people to feel more peace within themselves and to connect more deeply with source energy, with their divine nature, with their authentic voice. And it brings so much clarity into your life. And the journey that I went on is the same journey that other people are going on as they're reading it. It's a personal one, and the book is alive, and it's never the same. It's never the same experience for any one person. And
that's so magical. So truly inspired work is like that. It is alive. What a beautiful thing to say about your work. As a writer, that just speaks to me on an artistic level. The book is alive. So what is the one thing that you would like listeners to take away today, whether that be like a spiritual practice or something they should know about themselves? What would you like for them to leave with?
Well, I would say that the biggest thing that I've learned from the universe and from these teachings is that we're birthed from a divine creative source. We have never been separate from it. We never will be separate from it. And it's never too late to connect with that and to remember who you are. And when you do, there's a joy and expansiveness that comes from that. It's almost like you've gone back to your child self again, and you feel so embraced by this presence, and you feel that you'll never be lost or alone again. And I've learned that it's through our own free will to make this connection. And there's a beautiful analogy that they gave me at one point, and the image was beautiful too, and I probably can't explain it, but it was essentially, they said, knock on the door and we will open it for you. And the image essentially that I saw, it was just beautiful golden door, and don't get too hung up on this, but I just felt so embraced by the image and by the love that the universe has for us. And so many times we feel that being human means that we're less, and being human means that we are smaller, and that we have to, look up to God and say, please forgive me, please help me. And it's coming from a pleading standpoint. And what I've been taught is God wants us to feel our greatness and claim it, because when we do that, we're leveling with that source. And then our whole self opens up and we can start to receive the same messages, all of us, and remember who we are. But we have to own up to who we are, and we have to discover it, and we have to be willing to let go of any conditionings that get in the way of that.
Wow. Wow. I have been talking to Courtney Munson. She is a 19-year-old mystic healer, I guess you would say. She channels God, and she put it into a book called Teachings from God. You can get that on Amazon or on her website, which is www.teachingsfromgod.com. And hopefully listeners have been able to feel your just gorgeous, bright presence, Courtney, because I'm just very impressed with you as a woman and of your age. And oh my goodness, I can see you just taking on the spiritual scene and spreading your light everywhere, all over the world. And if there's any way that I can help you do that, please let me know.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
You have been listening to Year of Yes Radio with Tracee Sioux. Please visit my website for a free sample chapter of my new book, The Year of Yes. In it, you will find exactly what happened to me when I said yes to everything my soul told me to do for 1 year, and you won't even believe it. Remember, the dare is to say yes.